Hi everybody, welcome to Archimarathon. Today we're very excited to be at Uncle Frank's house.
Taliesin in Spring Green, Wisconsin.
Frank Lloyd Wright's own home.
Well, technically we're in the office.
We're in the office. I'm in Frank's chair apparently. And we're lucky enough to be able to stay here for a couple of nights too, so we're living the dream. Roll intro. Is that pencil called intro? That is so disrespectful. You know, this is Frank Lloyd Wright's meeting table. That's his favourite pencil. I was about to make up a story. Like, did you know that all these drawings were done in white pencil on black paper? Kev, it's really an apt description, isn't it? It's a living sketch. Like, it has grown over time.
Well, he's been tinkering with it for 48 years. Burned down twice, constantly just rebuilt straight away, constantly moving things.
Basically, there's no real front entry. You can come from different ways, and because it changed over time, you know, that actually leads up to his studio, but it wasn't used for a long time. This really is described as the formal entry. But again, you can approach it from many different ways. You end up at this point, his studio up there, the main living room over there, but you're kind of introduced to the landscape after going through that gateway. Very Chinese thing to do. Before you then turn, you approach a little bit of nature, you can see the studio to one side, and you constantly, as Uncle Frank likes to do, getting turned and reoriented. You get a little glimpse into the living space, the main sort of entertainment area through there, and then you're turned away from it. Watch our Chinese garden episode, guys. That's how you make incredible, rich, layered space.
A framed view there.
They've put us down in the dungeon. It's not a dungeon. It's a beautiful series of spaces that looks out through the valley, but that's our space. Look at.
I did hit my head this morning.
Did you?
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't mention that.
It's difficult to resist talking about smacking your head because it's like he wants as many head injuries as possible. And just, you can see the texture of it. It is so raw, rustic, simple. Masonry to the ground, and then timber and glazing above. So the structure's changing materials, but the lighter weight structure is obviously above the heavy structure.
So on that side, we have the living spaces.
The main entries coming through there, but again, we turn to go into there, but that's not what you're presented with. You're presented with what used to be big oak trees, the pine trees in the background, this little low roof through here, fireplace, and then some of the other studios and, you know, places for people to sleep on that side.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering if they had a red tile.
Oh, yes.
It's a classic for all Frank Lloyd Wright buildings to have a little red tile as a signature. And so over there, on the other side of the breezeway, is the studio.
Yeah, you come in, studio that way, living spaces that way.
And if we look through there, not that we can see anything like this, there are burnt pieces of timber.
What if I put my torch on?
Can't see. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, look. Oh, it's all burnt up there.
Yeah. No, it's not working. We tried. So yeah, there's a story that the fact that the living space has been burnt twice, that was always left alone.
Yeah, Frank Lloyd Wright once said,
God
doesn't approve of my
character,
my
personal life.
God doesn't approve of my personal life, but he approves of my work life. Because that keeps burning down and this has been fine. This is not the main entry for clients. This would be his entry and staff entry. And so the drawing studio, earlier on, this was the drawing studio. That was always his desk.
I think there are photos of him sitting at that desk quite often.
That desk right there.
Yeah.
Well, on that point, Falling Waters, Johnson Wax, watch that episode. The Guggenheim, were all drawn right there in this space. That all those seminal, fundamentally important pieces of modern architecture were authored right there.
That's a little mezzanine up there. But that's a 5-volt.
That, yeah. And not for money, for his drawings.
Yeah, since the house burnt down twice.
Yeah. So it used to be the drawing studio, too many apprentices, so they all ended up down at Hillside School.
Next episode.
And then this became his personal studio and where he would meet with clients. Clients would actually come in that end, go into this area as a waiting area, and then come through.
How cool are those little trapdoors things?
Yeah, to close all those off through there.
You borrowed that in one of your projects?
Oh, just like he's borrowed from. Look at this. There's such wonderful honesty because he keeps the references around him because everything is a remix. The things that have inspired him and he's sort of studied and learnt from continue to be in his peripheral vision as he's working.
Again, all this screening of a bigger space into smaller spaces.
And just a cute little sitting space. It's really important to see these kinds of spaces because instead of thinking about a box on a plan with a label on it, like I don't know what label you put on that, but it's just a beautiful human space.
There's always places to perch down there. There you go.
You'll be here waiting to be summoned in to Uncle Frank's office. There's the vault door. So we saw this earlier. This is another way in. This is really kooky because the stair comes up and you'd expect this to be a door, but the corner is the door. So it pushes you that way instead of this way, which was his secretarial space. Like, how beautiful is this? Little sneaky skylights coming through here.
Oh, that's a skylight.
Proportions.
Yes. Too. Oh.
And look at the way the joinery is cut into the blockwork. All of this is just cut in here. So this is the thing. I guess if labour's incredibly cheap and you've got people working and living with you, you can just grab people whenever you want to try something, and they'll just start cutting things out in such a perfect way. This is an interesting spot because this was probably his personal secretary. She could see who was coming and going, but there's also a sneaky little door. Is this it? Yes. So she could sneak from here and get to the back. Let's go this way. Could get to the back of Uncle Frank and whisper whatever, hand him something, and then sneak back in that way. To me, there's a different quality of sound in here to the other space, even though it's a similar volume. I'm not sure why. Can you feel it? Floor sloping?
Yep.
I need to open these doors before we go. Oh, look at the light switches.
Yeah.
As you're going in. That's quirky. Look at that. How does that work? Oh, try unlocking it, Andrew. Look at that.
Oh.
So isn't that wonderfully strange? Like, you would really expect that you'd come straight up, but what it does is it steers you to that, which is obviously where I'm going to wait to be summoned, and you can wave to the secretaries, I guess. That's really clever without too much gymnastics. Amazing. And so in terms of vehicles, there's the way that we started on that lower side, but you can also bring vehicles in this way. So it's thought that this is probably where
His clients.
the clients came. When there were functions, they probably came down that other side. Yeah, lovely progression of spaces. Oh, isn't that? Look at that framing through there.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
That's the official term. Four.
4. We could just endlessly point at things for you. We've probably shown you 0.01% of all the amazing things here. You have to come and check this out.
These are some of the other residences.
The other reason to come and check it out is like, you don't realise how small these things are until you're here. We keep hearing about it, don't we? Should we go that way?
Sure.
Keep hearing about how small everything is, but it is unbelievable. Like not just the compressed spaces, but in general, just everything is so small. And I say that in a good way. What do you want me to do now?
Dance.
You'll tell me when to stop. So we're winding our way through, very much a Frank Lloyd Wright, experience. There's no just front door. Extraordinarily low spaces in his own house. And then we end up on this long axis where at one end you have his bedroom, and at the other end you have the living space. So guests would often come through there, come into this space where you go from the typical Frank Lloyd Wright compression and then openness.
I love the change of roof pitch there, and then all these shutters that controls the light and really makes a smaller space. It's not small, but it makes it feel more connected to the outside.
It's really not that much bigger though, is it? It is that comparison to the compressed space.
I mean, those other low bits are really low.
Oh,
Like this bit here, you can hit your head.
I am not a tall person. And it gets lower and lower as you go further out to his bedroom. It just gets lower and lower and you get used to just walking like that.
What dawned on me is that if you sit down there, the scale changes. And it's a bit like Japan, really. I think the traditional houses are quite low, but then they're seated on the ground. And these chairs are really low, as low as it gets.
Well, it's really about the view, isn't it? Like everything in this space is pretty much at that height. The piano's a bit higher, but everything else is low. So wherever you're sitting, you get these views back to the landscape.
And then an amazing fireplace.
And these beautiful stone floors that you see through the house, we're told that the majority of these are actually on a timber frame.
Oh.
So it's stone on a timber frame. And in most of the shared spaces, and some of the bedrooms as well, you have these big fireplaces. So this hearth, this centre of sort of gathering and warmth.
And then on top of this whole room has got this ledge where all his, I wouldn't say all, some of his Japanese ware and Chinese are here. I'm so surprised there's so many of them.
Yeah.
There's the Iron Goddess statue there, another one up there. They think that he earned more money out of selling Japanese prints than being an architect.
Yeah, yeah, which some people say is probably true. So this space here is it's Taliesin 3. This burnt down
Twice.
First time horrifically with a terrible, you can read about it on the internet. Second time electrical fire. First time deliberately. But what's really interesting is that many of the artworks that he had were destroyed, at least in part, and you see some of it actually being used in the rebuild.
Oh.
So you can go through and look at some of the stones. It's amazing what you find in there. It's just sort of remnants. Because the really important thing about this house is that is to recognise that it's his own house, and since 1911, right through to when he died in 1959,
48 years.
Yeah, it grew and changed over time. Floyd, the wonderful guide here, described it as a living sketch.
He's always been tinkering with it.
Yeah, and what it means as well is like he's not spending somebody else's money. So there's a frugal sort of a frugal attitude that's really great. And I think that rebuilding parts of it with the old, what burnt down and reassembling it is really beautiful in terms of not only the story of the building, but that idea of, well, do a lot with a little. And many of the materials you're seeing here are like plywoods and local timbers, also some imported stuff as well.
A lot of reused timber as well.
Yeah. And as the building sort of grew and changed over time with just all these ongoing sort of sketches, these experiments, things would get demolished and rebuilt in other places. Amazing little sitting space. So this comes, we just entered from over there and we turned left to go into the lounge space. This opens directly onto this sort of shared space, looking out over the landscape, but also connecting straight back to sort of the entry space. And on the left there, where there used to be some huge oak trees, which really is the centre of this compound.
We skipped his bedroom.
That's down that way.
Isn't it? What's that then?
No,
That's a guest room.
This was a guest room, which now is I think it was a sitting space for his wife. Oh no, still a bed in here. Look at the level changes. Look at the height, the capturing light, the sneaky little bits of light. The way that that timber detail goes through. At one point, maybe that wall wasn't there, and that actually went through.
Yeah, we're constantly told, there was a wall here, this was that, and then
this was unpicked.
Yeah.
At some point, he just grabbed some builders, because he had 70 people that lived on the site, and many of those were trades people, builders and apprentices. So there was always material and labour on hand. If whenever he went, you know what, we're just going to knock that wall out.
And again, everywhere, so much decoration of things he's collected.
And the living sketch, the little experiments. So many things are similar to each other, but there's often quite different. Let's try this here.
There's a bit of artwork embedded as well.
Dug in with that beautiful big lintel over the fire.
And that's quite a prairie house thing, isn't it? The stone, the raw stone coming up. That's the off the place.
Mm. And they've now put in a geothermal heating system, which is awesome. But we were told before that a lot of the radiators are actually underneath the stone. So this thermal mass was constantly getting sort of heated up, had that embodied energy in it. So that was the entry, the lounge room down there. And then right at the very end, it looks like another lounge space. But in fact, that's his bedroom.
And this over here?
Another little sitting space. Well, what's really interesting about this space...
Double fireplace.
Yeah, look how sick that fireplace is. And the stone going straight through as well. It's all on timber up that end, and then it's thought that it might be on earth at that end.
It is amazing how all these little nooks and spaces, even though it's a relatively open plan, there are a lot of subtle definition of
There's so many
spaces.
different places to perch. Look at this. Like the low ceiling, I would describe as, fight me in the comments, uncomfortable. But we don't actually know. They don't know how tall Frank Lloyd Wright was.
They described him as quite a short guy.
Yes, but he's recorded as saying he was 5'8". No, you weren't, buddy. No, you weren't.
But I think it goes back to that whole Japanese-ness, though. I think I'm just surprised how, we talked about it in Schindler House.
In the Schindler House.
Yeah, in the Schindler House, we talked about how...
That episode.
That's right.
Yeah.
How low the space is as well, because they used to sit on the floor. All these really low furniture again.
Yeah. This, I was told yesterday, was an outdoor space. So many of the walls were just blown out at certain times. So they used to bring people through here. How? They used to bring a vehicle in here, drop somebody off, that column wasn't there.
What? Okay.
Drop somebody off, that was the skin of the building, and then take the cart down that way. If they were staying overnight, the help would stay down there. And then he's gone and pushed this wall out. The artwork, so like you pointed out, the one that's over the fireplace, the sculpture that's embedded in the wall. Like, look at this, bringing these in from...
This is Chinese.
This is Chinese, and building it into the wall. So he's not hanging it on the wall.
With the light.
It is the wall. Oh yeah, look at that little detail. Great little experiment. Oh, here's some more things that are built in. Look at this. Built into the fireplace. Just layer upon layer of experimentation and story and time. 50 years of sort of accretion.
There's more built in. This one's a Japanese screen.
That's his bedroom, but I didn't spot this last time. I haven't been in here.
Oh,
Look at the light above the cabinetry here. I'm opening doors. Oh, this is interesting.
what?
I don't know whether we're allowed in here, but look, this actually shows how it's built. That stud frame and then just the wire and the lath and plaster on top of that. That's really interesting.
Some of the stud frames quite interesting. You'd see little bits of it. Some of it's exposed. You can see the timber. You can see burnt bits.
And this was his wife's bedroom. So really close to each other, slightly different aspects back out into the landscape. Yeah, I reckon you could just spend your life in this building and keep discovering new things. Look
So
at
many
this.
little knickknacks of stuff.
Isn't that great? Just built in, just strapped onto the column there. It's very similar to his lights, that one.
Yeah.
And then just overlooking the landscape. And over there, that's the tool shed. Behind that hill is Hillside School.
Which is another episode.
Yeah, where he's trained all of his apprentices. And this is his bedroom. Look at how, like, that's the other thing too. So this is constantly being restored. It's mainly a timber building, so it's always trying to, it ages. So they're constantly repairing it, and nothing is parallel because, again, it's a sketch, just working through it. The main axes, the living space back up there, that's where we've come from, but we just snuck around that side. The end of the axes is Frank's bedroom. That's his bed.
Wait, what?
That's his bed. So for a guy that was known for having a pretty big ego, I just love the fact that he just sort of subtly slept in there.
I thought that would have been the bed somewhere. Like traditional, nowadays, if you do master bedrooms, like big mansion, it'd be somewhere out there.
There'd be a headboard here and they'd be facing out that way, and that would be, endless robes and things like that. Another little fireplace, heating under here. So he had like heating coils underneath there. Radiant heater, but that's all been replaced now with significant geothermal heating.
Hey Andrew, check this out. Up here,
Oh, they've exposed.
some of the structure.
What is it?
No?
Oh, yeah, no, they have. So it's perspex, and there's a little bit of strapping there. But on this,
Look at this one, yeah.
like, look at the. Let's just use the word chaos. And so just finding, just having all this timber laying around and just doing these sketches. And this used to be the line of his bedroom.
Oh,
There was an article, was it for the Times? I think Ryan said, that they were going to do a feature on him and his home. And 2 weeks before they came to visit, he just said, right, push that out. He pushed the wall out here. And they've ended up with 4 different types of floor construction too. So there's an area that's on sand, the rest of it out here is on timber, and there's a couple of other ways that it's built.
it's a stage set.
This is really a stage set. Yeah, that's how it feels. This was a full skylight that was just too bright for him because he would sit here and do a lot of his work as well. He had multiple places that he worked. Where we first were, that was the main place that he worked, but this is another place, which is incredibly beautiful. So this was their original bedroom, their shared bedroom before they went to 2 bedrooms. The daughter's space is upstairs, and see those 2 doors there? She used to pop those open and do little puppet shows for her parents. So
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cute? Do you want to do something like really naughty and cheeky?
That's Elizabeth over there.
Hi, Elizabeth.
She's awesome.
No, we actually have permission. I was going to pretend we're sneaking, but let's go check out.
Private area.
Oh! Oh, wow. I haven't been up here before. Oh, so this is where she would do the puppet show?
Ah.
that great? And the view back down into the landscape.
Oh, and that's that space. Looking back down to the living room.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is, yeah, right. Wow. Look at that. And then the view out to the hills and the horizon through that window there. And then I guess you could spy if the adults were having a little party there, she could probably go over to the end there and have a little peek. You should have a look off the end there.
Okay, I will.
What's that? Is that all?
A lot of cupboards up here.
Wouldn't it be great being a kid and just being sent to bed, but you could always just hear what was going on? And then just cupboards. Wow. This place is amazing. What the hell? Oh, that's not her bed. So that's just the way to get to her bedroom. You go through cupboards to get to the bedroom.
That is quirky.
Wow.
Oh, wow, okay.
How good is it? She's got her own fireplace as well. More inbuilt furniture. Everything is wonky here. The camera cannot pick this up, I reckon, but this is all just...
Whoa.
Like, look how it goes down into this corner. The bed there. And then so here, that's the entry. That's where we came up before. We came up through there. And this is where there used to be, I think, 3 big oak trees. So the big oak trees in here. And so you had the sort of the workers' cottages over that side, so creating this compound with the sort of the school and the tool shed out that way. This is epic. And you wouldn't know it was here. I guess that first stair you kind of can notice, but everything else is very hidden. Little sneaky windows all over the place.
Oh.
And you can see, okay, so you can see the tool shed from here and the windmill, and then the school's down that side. This is epic. Another fireplace.
So what, the 2 bedrooms? No. Well, this is the bedroom.
Well, there's a bedroom here and there's a bed there. I don't know, when you got mates over. So what are we on top of Dad's room? Okay. Right, so this is great. I think we can get out here. Come and have a look at this. Oh, wow. Oh, this is special. This is the ultimate kids' room. You get to spy on the parents, you get to sneak out here. Look at the shingles. That's so beautiful. The thing about this is actually great because you get to see that the timber shingles, instead of it being a single shingle, say that 10 times, they've actually
yeah.
You can do it. They've actually laid it up, so lots and lots of layers, which I guess adds to the waterproofing. But nowadays they've ended up putting a membrane on top. Look at these. You've also got the other sneaky little bits that he's just popped out to get extra light into those spaces. We are so lucky, Kev, to be able to see this. Unbelievable. After you.
Look at all that joinery. I don't think that's a Frank Lloyd Wright chair, but that is beautiful too.
And so simple. Like, it's just plywood, but beautifully considered and composed. Lots of little experiments that no doubt he used on all of his other commissions. Oh, bathroom. Oh, the mandatory Andrew in the bath shot. There's a sneaky little window up there.
Yeah, there's sneaky windows everywhere, really.
Yeah. Cool. And speaking of sneaky, I'm not quite sure where this goes, but let's... Do you see this? There's a stair here. Look at how thin it is.
Okay, for a kid.
Yeah.
Well, there's a mirror there too.
Oh. Where? Oh, we're back at the... Oh, we're back... I didn't even notice that when we were first here. Kev? Oh, how'd you do that? That's cool. So Taliesin? Taliesin.
Taliesin.
Did he just make that up?
It's a Welsh word.
Oh, okay.
It means shining brow, as in the brow of the ridge or hill.
Right, okay. Shining brow.
Yeah.
That's interesting because he was fond of really sort of stitching into the landscape. You know, he'd never be the type of person that would really put something directly on top of a
Well,
ridge.
it's not really on it then. He kind of sees it as part of it.
Yeah.
It's part of that top.
And you
of
can
the
even
hill.
see that there where the roofs are almost a continuation of these sort of the hill formations. So
Well, we're in this part, the driftless part of Wisconsin, which is, you know, you got this low part, which was where the glaciers pushed through and they had the prairies, the flatlands. And then you've got this part which has more undulations. That's the driftless area. And so part of the character of this landscape are rocks, outcrops and things like that. You know, the limestone here is from the river just down there.
incredible. But it's a really great lesson in how to sensitively stitch in with the landscape rather than dominating it, which you see so many buildings doing that, cutting sites really hard or being right on top of the ridge line.
Well, this is kind of on top, and this does have some cutting, I guess, but it just feels like it belongs.
Yeah,
You know, this is grown from the ground as
Exactly.
opposed to landed.
yeah. But where things are near the ridge, like this is the only building that kind of feels like it's on the ridge, and there's a sort of compositional reason for that. But the rest of them, you kind of just, especially where we are, at one of the higher points, you just get the roof lines, which is great because then you get this foreground mound, middle ground roofs, background hills. It's very thoughtful.
So you can see the tours here.
Well worth coming to.
Well, it's coming to Wisconsin.
Yeah, this place is incredible.
Have you been?
Yeah. Have you been? Have you been lucky like us and been able to stay here? Yeah, leave your comments. And any great stories. Like this is a place that evolved over decades and decades out of the mind of one of the most important architects that's ever lived. So there are endless stories here. It's worth, you know, coming and checking it out. But, you know, it seems like there's too much to ever, you know, there's a reason there's so many books about Frank Lloyd Wright in this place.
Yeah. And it's a lived-in place. Unlike many of the house museums, they are heavily protected. All the books and all this stuff is just around.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, we're just eating on the tables, not completely protected like a lot of the house museums we go and see.
Well, you've got to put on gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And shoe booties and everything.
Yeah, but it's kind of, it is that house space, isn't it? It's a place of evolution. It's like his design mind out on the table, constantly rearranging itself. A laboratory. It's a lived-in laboratory, and even after his death, there were, you know,
It's a legacy.
Yeah, there were many important buildings that were still, you know, need to be finished, like the Guggenheim. His wife still lived for another 25 years.
With apprentices.
Yeah, and the school kept going for a long time. So there's something lovely about it where it's part museum, but still it's alive and fertile kind of place. Just a huge thank you to Taliesin Preservation for protecting such an important place, but also for hosting us. It's so generous and kind to host us here. Thank you to the American Institute of Architects for flying us over here. We'll be giving a couple of lectures while we're here, which will be great fun, in Madison and Milwaukee. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. We love you guys. Mwah. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, I was great, but I don't know about you.